What's up, everyone? So we're doing things a little different this episode. Lucas forced me to bring out all of my haircutting equipment to Arlington. Made me work, but it's something I like doing. So I figured, why not get a little extra content out of it and have a little conversation while we cut some hair today.
Yeah, I don't think you're working. I'm not paying you, so.
I know, and I got free check bags, so you don't even have to pay for those. He
Oh
really
man.
lucked out. He doesn't have to pay my $85 an hour.
So, just like last time.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah.
Sweet. Luxury treatment.
So I'll ask you a couple questions, but I want you kind of bouncing back and forth as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm a. Let.
So, I want to know, and I feel like this could take up a lot of the episode. What's your end goal now that you're bringing in all these different species? I know you have 2 or 3 different species, even outside of snakes, that you're looking to bring into the garage. What's the end goal look like for you?
Um, that's a good question. I think. I guess let me talk about the retics first, since as I bring in animals, I can't keep all the retics that I'm.
Well, and our Patreon gets nervous that you're abandoning our cause.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I've had a lot of people actually that message me and they're like, "Hey, are you getting out of retics? Like, I see you jumping into a lot of species," and very much not getting out of retics. But I've kind of switched up my aim for retics and my goals for retics. And so, you know, obviously locality kind of being my thing. Um, I've kind of switched. When I first started with retics, it was about like the super dwarfs and super dwarf, manageable snakes, and I'm still very much about manageable snakes. But now that I've kept retics and I've gotten larger, and I'm comfortable with them. And before, when I didn't have retics, I wasn't comfortable with the idea of having a 14, 15, 16 foot animal. Um, so essentially, what I'm doing with the retics now, man, is I'm going to just my goal is to produce every locality that we absolutely have in the U.S. Whether it's one clutch, like one good viable clutch, is my goal with every locality that we possibly can get a pair for. Um, Bali, Malaysians, Sulas, Philippines, Salayer, the list goes on and on and on. And obviously, with that in mind, realistically, I can't keep every single retic that I, bring in, because when I get some of the larger localities, the ones that I keep after the breeding, like Sula, my female Sula, she's going to be mine for good. Um, she's
That's the one that came from Wildfire?
yeah, she's gonna be going into a walk-in, and
How are you going to do a walk-in?
so
Because I know you're floor to ceiling with the garage right now. So what does that look
yeah,
like?
so we're planning on moving in 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so she'll be 4 years old, 5 years old by the time that I get her in, and and I have space. I have room to get her in a 10-footer prior to that. So she needs the 10-footer. She'll go in the 10-footer, but eventually it's going to be a walk-in, and I'm not going to share too much information. But one of our awesome sponsors, Heartland Reptiles, I got him in talks with Wildfire Retics, and they're actually designing and working on basically building little, with the aluminum that he does. His company does these storage units that actually have mini splits built into them.
Huh.
And you can build them as big as, like, you can build a 15 by 15 by 15 or well, I wouldn't say 15 tall, but 15 by 15 by 7. And in my backyard currently is a quarter acre. So worst case scenario,
If you don't move, you can put it in the
if we
backyard.
don't move for a while, I can just have one of those built into the backyard, and have it run on a mini split on a thermostat.
That reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if you guys follow A Life Exotic, but he's actually a local Utah guy, built a greenhouse in his backyard and has just like he has a little pond running through it, has dart frogs all over the place. He's just about to add in a snake species within like an enclosed little enclosure inside the greenhouse, so it doesn't interrupt any of the frogs or any of the other little lizards running around.
Awesome. Yeah, that's unique.
Yeah, so it reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, so so I can't, going back to like the goals with Retic. So when it comes to every locality, as I produce a locality, if it's not a locality that I plan to, I still haven't decided, but my goal is going to be, by the time that, let's say I'm able to produce every locality that we have available, my goal is to be able to still keep 4 localities, a pair of 4 localities that I love, my 4 favorite. And, right now I can't even tell you what the 4 favorite are because I haven't.
What's your top favorite?
So, like, that's the thing is I'm starting to learn that as I get new localities and I see the behavior differences, they might not be my favorite looking, but like keeping them is my favorite. And so I know one for sure that I'm going to be keeping and working with are my Calatoas, just because I established that new bloodline with the 2 wild caught pairs. So I want to keep that going.
I think there's always going to be that market for Calatoa too.
Right, exactly. And then, the other 3 are really, I'm going to be honest, up in the air.
Whether you've poured your heart and soul into your reptile business or you've just begun your business journey, AE Foundry has you covered with next-level expertise in graphic design, motion graphics, videography, photography, and so much more. If you've been dying for a new logo for your reptile business, motion graphics for your current logo, a new website, or need assistance making your video podcast come to life, then listen carefully. AE Foundry's mission places storytelling at its core. AE Foundry believes that a distinctive story and background are the driving forces that set your brand apart. In today's market, here on TRL, we preach about the importance of using hooks, feeding tongs, and other tools with your reticulated python all the time. Animal Equipment by Stoney not only has all the tools you need for any snake you keep, but they have the absolute best hooks on the market. What sets Animal Equipment by Stoney's hooks apart from the other guys is their polycarbonate hook ends that provide a warm feel that won't disturb or bother your retic, ensuring a positive interaction from the get-go. Since 2008, AE Stoney has been supplying zoos, herpetologists, and other animal professionals with their tools. It's time for you to step your hook game up and buy an AE Stoney hook. To learn more and purchase one of their amazing products, visit aestoney.com.
So, after I produce, every locality, and if it's possible, but, that's the goal, as many as I can, I'm really going to settle down with just retic production in general and just produce maybe 1 locality clutch a year, maybe 2, and just really get back to just having only a certain amount of retics where I can take them out, enjoy them, and spend so much more time with them, versus, right now having, with the babies and the retic, the ones that I have and holdbacks and adults, at times over 80 of them, you don't get the time to spend that one-on-one time with them as much as you'd like. And so, getting into the other localities or the other species that I'm working with, like the aim there is really just about getting back to enjoying reptiles and snakes in general, like I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I had Argentine boa, Burmese python, coastal carpets, ball pythons.
You had coastal carpets back then?
Yeah, I had one.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a coastal carpet that I got from, well, it was sold as a coastal. If I could find pictures, maybe I can confirm now with the Morelia people. But yeah, there's a pet store locally that would have every once in a while would have a cool different type of species. They had a carpet python, and I was, I think, 15 at the time, and had some money saved up, and I think it was like $250, and bought it. And so, yeah, I want to get back to like enjoying things. And as I got back into snakes and keeping retics, I've always just like, I've seen certain species, and my brain lights up, and I'm like, man, I really wish I could have that, but I didn't get into it back then because I was wanting to be a retic breeder, right? Like my original goals back then were I wanted to do this full time and be a business, a retic. Like I wanted to.
Well, that's when kind of the locality or, just small retic market was taking off. Everyone thought that.
Right. Like I was going to be a retic breeder. That was going to be my full-time job. And as I started doing this more and growing and realizing the expenses and the difficult aspect of sales, people really, I think, underestimate what goes into sales. Breeding retics is a walk in the park. Once you do it your first time, it's super easy. It's the sales part. It's the answering questions at midnight. It's the taking phone calls.
Dealing with problematic customers.
Yeah. It's taking phone calls, talking to someone for an hour and a half, and then, they send you a picture of a snake they bought from someone else 2 weeks later after you spent 2 hours of time with them. It's very time consuming. It takes away from family time. It takes away from a lot, especially if you're working like a full-time other job. So, like the idea of just being a commercial, full-time breeder is just not appealing at all to me. I've seen too many people make that jump, and you start to see you see the stress in their face. You see the weight gain. You see it's just seems overwhelming. And, I already got a decent amount of manageable stressors in my life. To think about doing that full time is just not for me anymore. So, with the chondros, let me start with the chondros. I'm definitely gonna like go with localities as well. I'm gonna start collecting some more localities. Right now I have Aru and Biak. And I'm probably only going to stick to like 4 or 5 designer animals. And right now I already have 2 to 3 designers. So really going to just be super, super selective on the last 2 designers. I'm probably thinking about getting a blue line animal where, I don't have to have any doubt it's going to end up being a blue animal.
That's the stuff that Patrick's working on, correct?
No, so Patrick is a...
I don't know anything about.
Patrick has some really nice blue stuff, but Patrick is known for his Biak and Biak crosses, and he's got some amazing high yellow stuff. I mean, he really has a lot of, but I'm thinking more of like House of Blues, that type of guy. And then,
okay, I'm not familiar, so I'm gonna have to check him out after this.
Yeah, no, he's got a phenomenal dude. You see his animals, and you'll be like, oh shit. And then probably I'm waiting for the perfect clutch for Mark Hager to produce, and I probably want to get into Calico bloodline. So I'll have that Sickness Jaeger bloodline. I'll have some blue bloodline and Calico bloodline, and I'll be good. And then so really with the chondros, it's they're just so much easier to care for than everyone really thinks, like, especially after keeping retics for a while. So, I'm not trying to, like, establish myself as this, well-known, big-name person in the chondro world. And even with, like, the TheReticLounge that we're going to be doing, that's literally more of a selfish endeavor. Being able to talk to people and, I've been talking to Chuck right now. He's getting interviews lined up with Greg Maxwell and Ryan Young. Like, he's got connections with big names, and I never once in a million years thought I'd be able to get the chance to sit down and talk to Greg Maxwell, who wrote the More Complete Chondro that I read back in 2011 or 12, 12 years ago. So this is more of a personal passion endeavor. And then the Papuan carpets are like the next big thing that I'm really jumping into. And Papuan carpets, locality carpets in general are really cool, but the Papuans, because we can still import them, I've always loved the idea of working with imports.
You want to talk a little bit about just what you're doing as far as the imports on those?
Yeah, so I'm shout out to Dan Maliri with DM Exotics, probably the best importer, or at least the most ethical importer that I'm aware of.
The only one that does it without any smoke and mirrors.
Exactly. He's very transparent, has videos of his facility. If you're a Patreon members of him, he gives you all the access, all the detail of what it takes to get into importing and what it takes to be an importer. I reached out to him and said, hey, what's the deal with Pop-One carpets? Like, are you going to be doing that? And he was like, yeah, I actually have a shipment coming in. And so me and Riley are going to work together and get a huge chunk of animals and really hand select the best of the best from this large group that we're going to be purchasing from him.
How many animals are you going to get out of it?
Dan Maliri originally wasn't sure how many he was going to bring in, but now that I'm talking to him, it might be upwards of even like 25.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, me and Riley were originally talking about, like, if Dan was only going to bring in 15, we were going to just grab the bunch. But if he's bringing in more, we're probably still thinking about grabbing like 20.
Okay.
But not holding back 20. Like I said, I'm probably just going to select 2.2 of the best, and same with Riley. And then, Riley has a hold on the Pop-One carpet market, and, he can sell those well. And I told him, hey, I'd love to like keep, about 5 to sell myself, so I can start kind of getting into the Morelia market and start trying to make some connections with people, sell some animals. And so, yeah, when it comes to the Pop-One stuff, like, that's the stuff that, they're not expensive animals. So again, this isn't like an endeavor that I'm trying to make money off of. This is more of this is the fun part of like the scientific and like getting to play, lab work in the lab, right? Like, it's messing with polygenic traits. It's seeing all the different phenotypic expressions. And there hasn't been a lot of people that have really been focusing on different type of visual variations of them. So creating extremely black and yellow contrasted animals, and then creating ones that have like red and orange blushing, and working pure granite and pure axanthic into the blushing and into the dark lines. That's what's going to be really fun, is that I'm gonna, where people really in the retic world like to play that game with the morphs, right? And they really want to selectively breed and try to enhance a morph. I get to do that with a locality animal that people aren't really working with right now and aren't trying to take to the next level just yet. Like, people are just starting to do that. So I have an opportunity to work with imports, which is something I've always wanted to do. I have an opportunity to, play, scientist and get to really just experience and over the next 15, 20 years, really try to refine and perfect different looks of these carpets. So, yeah, I mean, when you talk about my goals of what I want to do, that's kind of the gist of it. Now, I know I just got Sri Lankans. Those just piqued my interest. Number one, Ryan Young gifted me those, and anytime Ryan Young trusts you with a rare animal in captivity, I don't care what animal it is, you don't say no to Ryan Young. Like, when it comes to, like, I have the utmost respect for what he does and his success with breeding the most species of python, than anyone else. So when Ryan Young hits you up and makes you an offer and gifts you some amazing animals, then, I took him up on it, and I have them now, and they are absolutely stunning. So, I don't know how long I plan to work with them.
Are those the ones that make you a little nervous?
The Sri Lankans, yeah, they're loud. They're very vocal, and they puff up and have this deep hiss, and
Makes me think of that berm that Brian Cusco has sitting at home.
yeah, it reminds me of my Argentine bow when I was a kid.
Oh, is he pretty vocal?
The Argentine was super vocal, but the difference was the Argentine did it with his mouth open. These don't. Mouth closed, but they look at you. Their pupils follow you. They're super observant. They
Almost sounds like how my boa was acting
Yeah,
when I had my boa.
they study you. Like they want to know everything about you and like your intent. And it's not like the retic where it's curiosity. Like they are strictly doing that because they want to make sure that they're not going to be hurt. And they're just a fascinating animal. So, you know, don't know how long I'll work with them, but I'm definitely going to try to produce them. But obviously, I can only do sales in Texas. Anything across state lines is gifted. So,
Oh wait, what's the deal with that? I don't know any of the laws surrounding Sri Lankans.
yeah, so their interstate commerce is banned for sales. They have to be gifted across state line.
Do you know what brought that about?
You know, I don't actually.
Because like the Lacey ban, like that, like we all were pretty aware of what was happening there and why they wanted to ban interstate commerce on those animals.
Yeah, I mean, so we can't import them. They are on the Lacey Act, but they have a further designation of interstate commerce ban.
Huh.
Um,
And it's not like something with the Eastern Indigos where you can just get a
nope.
sales permit?
No, they need to be gifted.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is like a paper that goes into that. Like when you gift them, you have to have a paper that you send out. So, yeah, it'll be a Texas sales thing, and you know, or if I have, you know, some really close friends that want to work with them, I can, again, you know, because I'm not going to be keeping a bunch of them.
I mean, you're not making it very convincing for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the further we get into the selective breeding, and it, you know, the F1, F2, F3s, and keep.
So these are wild caught.
Mine are not. No, mine are. I don't even know. I think mine might be F2s. I gotta talk to Ryan and ask him.
Okay.
But yeah, so they might get better. I think they're gonna just be, you know, as babies. I think they're always gonna be defensive. But people have there are very socialized Sri Lankans out there. So
How old are the Sris you're working with right now?
the two females I have right now are 2 years old.
Okay, so they've got some age on them. It's not like it's just total baby defensiveness.
Yeah, and I mean they haven't struck, you know, they haven't bit, but they're intense animals. But really cool. I mean, that peach head that they have and blushing on their body is pretty phenomenal. So, you know, I guess like my overall goals are I'm getting out of the breeder mentality and I'm getting back into just like the fun hobbyist mentality, and I'm collecting animals that I love. And it's probably going to grow, right? Like I'm over here trying to convince, we're at Phil's right now. I'm trying to convince Phil that jungle zebra carpet he has, I don't want to breed him, but that is probably top 5 most.
That thing's not leaving, Lucas.
I know, top 5 most beautiful snakes I've ever seen in person in my entire life.
Look down for me.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I mean, those are my goals. The only thing that's going to be kind of serious that I'm really like business aspect, because I have so many right now, is the retics, right? When you run a business, even like if it's not a full-time business, you got to be smart. You need to watch for costs. You need to, you know, try to turn a profit, or else IRS is going to be like, what are you doing? Is this just a hobby? If it is, knock it off. Like, stop claiming shit and stop writing things off. And so
No, that's what the realization I made was, you know, I'm not really trying to do this as a business. It's more of a hobbyist breeder thing. So that's why I dissolved my business.
yeah. But the TheReticLounge isn't going anywhere. I'm going to keep retics until the day I can't lift one out of an enclosure, right? They are still by far just my favorite snake to interact with. They have that presence and that socialization aspect that 90% of snakes just don't have. And when you build a bond with an apex predator like a retic, there's just really nothing like it. So don't worry, I'm not getting out of retics, people. TheReticLounge isn't going anywhere. You know, I know that we have episodes talking about other species and animals, and me and Nathan are venturing out, but what brought us together was retics, and you know what's gonna take me out? It's probably retics. So
Nah, we don't need another Indiana situation.
right. Adler's gonna pause. Good combo. Good question. Oh, we'll continue? Okay, hi.
I was just trying to make sure to record the
Yeah. So I thought that was your moment to get up and walk around.
No, I just changed the line a bit.
You're not doing it, okay? Yeah, I think that, like, so I mean, let me ask you, like, well, I mean, before I ask you, you know, and this is kind of the unfortunate thing of what. So now that we're doing the Retic Lounge, and after I threw myself into the Samson situation, you know, the Retic community is I guess doing TRL has really made me appreciate the community that we're building. It's regained like some the love and community aspect for Retics that I have been losing over the last like year and a half. Like
There's been some disheartening stuff over the last year and a half.
yeah, and I mean, and I don't know, like people's true colors just, I guess, like you start to see.
But in the end of the day, are we in it for the animals or the people?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know,
I mean,
I think
of
I
course,
could say,
a little bit of both, but you have to be a little bit more selective on on the people part of it, I think.
yeah, arguably, I think most people should be more selective on the animal side of it too. But
Yeah, but I mean,
but yeah, I mean, I guess I just like a lot of people's like true colors have really come to surface, and I see just the cliquey and selfishness with a lot of like other, you know, bigger name people, and it's not something that I care to put energy into anymore. And so I'm putting more and more of my effort into our Patreon community and the community that we're building, and wanting to continue to build that community. And you know, because everybody, I get messages and they're like, "Dude, what's happening in the Retic community?" And I'm like, "Community? What community? Like, we don't have a like. It's literally what community are you guys talking about?" I was like, "We have our TRL community and it's amazing, but everything outside of that's a war, and I don't want to be."
I would say it's more like sports teams.
right, exactly. And then you have like diehard fans that are going to follow their sports team, right? That no matter what they do, right or wrong, they're going to stick with them by their side. And so
Maybe they'll be better next year, you know?
yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. You know, there's obviously still people outside of our Patreon community that I love and respect and have a great relationship with, and you know, I plan to maintain and keep those and work hard to maintain those relationships. But you got to understand, like, long distance with all these people all over the country and everyone being busy, it takes a lot of work to maintain friendships and relationships. So now that I have a family and a full-time job and more animals, I'm really starting to ask myself, like, you know, I only have so many spoons to give, so to say, and I'm being just more selective on who and where I'm putting my energy. And this idea of like trying to unify the Retic community, like, it's energy that I have learned over the last 6 years is not worth draining myself over.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds bleak and dark, but
I think I've experienced that. I mean, I had a little bit more hope, you know, 3-4 years ago.
young, dumb, and naive.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's the young excitement of just getting into breeding, and you know, like finally having animals to sell, feeling like you're part of the crew, and you know, I don't know. I just think I learned quick that, you know, there's always going to be divisions, especially with the culture that we're living in today, where you know it's the hate and the drama that gets all the attention, and it's just not something that we ever really wanted to be a part of. I know there was a couple examples of that when we were first getting into the Retic Lounge that were just like, I don't want to look back and see us just sounding bitter.
Right, exactly. And this is definitely not a, you know, it's not a bitter thing. And I think that this is like it's an awareness and I'm acknowledging that I'll give a good example. Adler, who's sitting right over here, manning the camera. Thank you, Adler. Um, Adler has so much passion to find unique and different ways to build up the reptile industry and community. And I remember when I first met Adler and I became really good friends with him, he would talk about, the Retic community is doing this. And like, I'm thinking we can do this to make this happen. And there was so much energy and passion he had to try to unify the Retic community. And I see Adler getting to that point too of the awareness and realization that a lot of people in the Retic community are unwilling to change. And
It's a you can lead a horse to water, but you can never force them to drink.
basically, exactly. And so when I see someone that has the character and the passion that Adler does have that realization, it's like, well, then, yeah, this isn't just me being bitter. This is just a reality of where we're at. And maybe things change and maybe things improve. But
I definitely think it's possible for the Retic community to really come together. I would never put it past us, but I think we have to learn how to sit across the table from someone that we have differing opinions from and not be able to, get so up in arms when our ideals and our ethics don't totally align. Of course, there's going to be instances like we saw with Samson Pruitt where, no one's going to stand up for that shit. And even so, like, yeah, there's some diehard Yankees fans on that team, right? So
why you gotta? I'm a Yankee fan.
I'm a Yankees fan too. I'm not like
You're comparing Samson to the Yankees.
Red Sox.
There we go. Yeah. Damn Red
but
Sox.
I'm just saying, like, even though they could have that drought of not winning, the Babe Ruth curse, there's still going to be people that unfortunately root them on.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I mean, again, like I have a lot to thank for the Retic community, but I think it's just in my best interest and my mental health to focus on our little community.
That's something I think. So I don't even know. No, I'm not going to bring up any names, but a lot of people like to, they see it as calling out the bad in the industry and, the voice of reason or whatever, the voice of truth. And a lot of the times, like, yeah, there might be instances where that's helpful to some people to know certain things, but I feel like our community would do a lot better if everyone just, focused on what their plans were or excited about what they're doing instead of focusing so much on outside their control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a shift that's been happening slowly for me, and even I get sometimes sucked back into the outside and not, what we're focusing on. And I will say that, like, as I'm focusing more on me and I'm getting back into like other species and excitement to like just enjoy the animals and not worry about the breeding aspect. Man, it's just so much more enjoyable.
We also want to thank VivTech Products for being an affiliate sponsor of the TheReticLounge. Stop by VivTech Products for the best UV spectrum lighting on the market that will enhance and improve your snake's overall well-being and health. Visit vivtechproducts.com and use the code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Again, visit vivtechproducts.com and use our affiliate code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Looking for the perfect accessories for your hatchlings or juvenile retics? Look no further than Heli Guy Serpents. Our sponsor, Chris Sexton, is coming in hot with an amazing 3D printer, creating top-notch perches and other caging accessories for your beloved pets. Enrich your retics environment with their high-quality products. Use our promo code TRL10 for a 10% discount on your purchase. Visit them today at heliguyserpents.com and start giving your pets the best. Heli Guy Serpents, the premier source for 3D printed caging accessories. Again, that's www.heliguyserpents.com and use our promo code TRL10 for 10% off all of your 3D printed accessories today.
Deep concentration.
I can't fuck up your lines.
Please don't.
And I think I don't know what's back there.
Huh?
What you were talking about, you had this face on like you were like in deep contemplation. And why didn't you use anything for real? You just like slowly fading out Nathan's voice and putting the song got a little dark inside.
That'd be amazing. I'm trying to like talk for the podcast, but with the ringing in my ear.
We might want to talk for a couple more minutes because it's going to get loud for a couple. I'm going to blow dry it in just a second here.
Okay. So, I mean, while you're doing this, you know, you talked about like dissolving the business, and you're thinking about moving some animals out, but almost got another animal in.
Well, I'm not really looking at getting rid of animals. There's a couple animals that I don't think I need to breed, and I haven't totally decided if they're just going to stay as pets or, you know, if I'm going to want to find someone who wants to work with those projects, because I have some cool stuff, but like I would kind of be kicking myself if I didn't totally try breedings with a couple of those animals. Like my 87.5 Calicoa Daniel Solis tiger.
Yep.
I haven't bred her because she stayed so small. And while she might not be my favorite looking tiger, she's tiny. And if that's something that is going to carry on to her babies, it's worth producing. But I just don't think I'm looking at doing more than a clutch or two a year because of the sales, because of the time I have working a full job. I mean, two full-time jobs. And then the podcast, it's just like, I need to have enough mental energy to where I don't burn out from everything I do, not just the animals. I think the animals are the easiest to stay motivated with. But it's just like, I want to have a little bit of balance in my life before I worry about trying to, you know, do anything really big with the animals as far as breeding goes.
Yep.
That's something I can always do down the line.
Yep. I you know, one thing that that comes to mind right now as I was thinking as you were talking about time and stuff is, you know, even just like as little as a year ago, I was in the process of planning, and like I had planned to do shows, you know, at least here locally in Texas. And
I would do local shows, that's for sure.
well, yeah. So I guess like with so that's what I like. Like once I start breeding the carpets, I feel like I could do local shows to where I can have carpets on the table and retics on, like locality retics on the table. And so that way I got like someone for the beginner, like an animal for the beginner that's, you know, going to be more affordable.
Which one of our guests was talking about this? We had someone that was like, yeah, retics are fun, but I also want to have something that I can give to a first-time reptile keeper.
I don't know. But
or am I imagining things?
No, maybe we've had so like my idea, like as far as the breeding aspect of these poplins outside of like the selective breeding portion, the poplin carpets is it's kind of like the entry level animal that you can then bring people in to the reptile industry and then go. Should I talk?
Yeah, you're fine.
Is there a dog?
You're fine.
Okay. And then, well, it kind of feels uncomfortable, so. And then from there, like, you know, have a buyer that wants to come back and maybe get into chondros or get into retics and spends more money.
I think we were just talking about it after Bill's.
Yes. Yeah, Bill's the man who, I mean, he's got the ball pythons, and then everyone who buys a ball python from him 2 years later is spending money on a chondro, right? So, you know, it's a good business model. I mean, it's a good opportunity to be like, hey, I have some more affordable animals that stay a good size, that are great pets, and then when you're ready, spend 1,500 to 2,000 on the locality retic, right? But not everybody is going to want to spend $2,000 on their first pet snake. Some of us do. Those of us that are crazy, all four of us that are around here right now. Right?
No, my first snakes were given to me. I think I maybe paid a couple $100 for the enclosure and setup, but I didn't start getting into the expensive animals until retics.
You're talking about like, yeah. So, yeah. I feel like in today's day and age, I see more and more people getting their first snake and like it's a big purchase. But then again, and this is part of like just focusing on that breeder mentality that I'm getting away from. I have only studied and observed, and I am very indulged, or not indulged. I'm very in the breeder market, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like the opportunity with popwind carpets opens me up to the pet market, right? At the end of the day, breeding locality retics or retics in general, that is not. I have never once tried to target and say, let me sell this to a 16-year-old in a family. Like that's not what a retic is for. So the popwind carpets give you that opportunity, man. When they first hatch, they are tiny, and you could provide them 5-foot animal. That's what a popwind carpet is. It's a 5-foot carpet python. It's awesome. They stay smaller than the breadlines and the coastals and the diamonds.
You get almost something similar to a chondro without it being so fragile.
Right, without having to worry too much about like husbandry being spot on and those kind of things. Like obviously you always want to reach for that, but there's a lot more error or room for error with those animals. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think you should ask Adler that similar question and go down the rabbit hole. And Adler sits in the seat here and starts talking with you. Go down the rabbit hole with Adler on talking about the community, and let's see if his bubbly side comes out or if his dark side comes out. Community talk. Thumbnail. We went into this like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. We'll just kind of like last night's live.
It's like me trying to plan out a conversation I have with my client. It just doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
And I don't want this to feel like
Forced.
we planned anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, very different than what we normally do. So, but it's nice. Nice sometimes to not put in the work of an outline or have an idea or a topic and just get an opportunity to talk. Is that Jordan? You coming over?
Speaking of channel sponsors.
Yeah, again, second mention. Heartland Reptiles. Man, he's been getting a lot of love from us lately.
This is what happens when you come out and hang out with your friends and also vend a reptile show. If you're one of our sponsors, we'll talk about you nonstop.
Yeah. Me and him are going to be working in a design. So he has those jungle gyms, those playgrounds for the his enclosures that attach, but they're made for the stacks, not a single enclosure. So me and him are going to work on a design to attach it to a single enclosure, so that my 6-footer I have, I can attach a playground to it.
Okay.
So that way, whichever snake is in there will have access to.
Does yours already have that side opening?
Yeah. So every enclosure, even if it doesn't have anything, has the 2 openings on each. Has an opening on each side, so that you can attach another cage or you can attach whatever to it.
He's gonna grab something to eat, and then he's gonna run back to the Airbnb.
So, yeah, it'll be really, really cool to see it like attached to a single enclosure and try to see how much the snake utilizes it.
Okay. So before Adler needed to change the battery real quick just so we could keep this thing rolling, we were switching from community talk to barbecue talk because that's one of our favorite things about our Texas trips. Well, I mean, I should say Adler and I's favorite thing about the Texas trips. You get to indulge anytime you want. But Hurtado's, are we thinking another place?
Yeah, so Hurtado's is good, but Dallas is well known for many other barbecue places, right, Phil? So,
I mean, Terry Black's is the place that I've always been told to go to. But I'm a little nervous about going to Terry Black's because I hear that you have to wait quite a bit for them. So I don't know if we're all trying to do that.
There's actually a place here in Denton, or right outside there. That's like 15 minutes from here. That is devoted special barbecue and DSW a few times.
Okay.
so Phil said there's a place nearby that voted best barbecue in Dallas Fort Worth. So, man, our subscribers get to see the back of your head for the first time on camera. That's nice.
It's a sight to see.
Um,
I figured I'd give them the ass for a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I'm here. Here's, I guess, so Hurtado's is great. However, when I travel, and I travel a lot, North Carolina, South Carolina has beaten any Texas barbecue that I've eaten yet. And before I moved here, I always told Texas had some of the best barbecue in the country, if not the best barbecue. So I want to, if we can try another barbecue place so that I can try to give Texas some more opportunities, right? Because maybe I'm just going to the place in some of those other states, right? And I just haven't been to that place here in Texas. Because I'll be honest, I don't go out and eat. My wife and I don't go out and eat a lot of barbecue. That's not a place that we like. If we go out and choose to eat, we're typically not looking for a barbecue joint.
It's a heavy meal.
I mean, it's a heavy meal, but also just like when you live in San Antonio and you have like really good, authentic Mexican and Tex-Mex and yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when we go out on dates, I used to work fine dining for as a server. So when I go out to eat a lot, I like to be bougie. I like to go get a $50-$60 steak, right? I like to
You bougie?
wine and dine when I go out and eat. And
You want to tell them about the bottle?
that was the celebration. so for those of you that were watching the live or who will, we were all sipping on some scotch and
Lagavulin special 12-year edition.
yeah. So
All cured, or not cured, but aged in tequila casks.
Yeah. So it's a 12-year Lagavulin Scotch. If any of you are Scotch or whiskey drinkers, you know that Lagavulin is up there in some of the best. Nice peaty, smoky Scotch. It's phenomenal. And this is a limited edition reserve. So yeah, it was a bougie bottle, but we only meet twice a year. So
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I did it for the boys. We're back in town.
Did it for the culture.
Yeah. So, yeah. Always got to just have a good time when you're here. Speaking of good time, I'm ready for Bills.
Me too. Yeah, Bills is always a highlight. I mean, just have a good group of people. Can't beat the animals that you see while you're out there.
Place cornhole.
There's just
Play some cornhole.
I can't remember how it went down. Who won last year? Because there's like a redemption game, I feel like.
The mayor.
Yeah, Bill went off. Because we the time before, the year before, we beat him. And Bill told me, he's like, coming after you next time. And he kicked our ass. He did really well.
He told me to practice. I'm sorry, Bill. I have not practiced.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But anyways, I mean, I'm down to try the barbecue. But if it's going to take us away far from the show.
Why don't we just go there first?
Before the show?
Yeah.
That's what we did last year.
Yeah, but we also got to the show late. We got to the show at like 2 p.m.
Yeah,
We had
that's
a late lunch.
Huh?
We had a late lunch.
So
We
like,
didn't leave here until 12.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we wanted to go to the show earlier. We tried to have barbecue at 10 a.m.
11. Because remember, you gotta think we drove 45 minutes just to get to barbecue before we sat down and ate. This is what, only 15 minutes away, you said?
From here in the opposite direction. Show those.
Yeah, like we drove 45 minutes, but it's a 5-minute drive to the show. Like it was at the venue last year. So we'll figure it out.
But we did have lunch at like 1 or 2.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down to do like 11 and then get to the show. But actually, to be honest, like I was a little bitter about like the no retic thing and everything. But I'm actually like really looking forward to seeing what else is
I'm hoping there's a lot
what else is there.
See, I don't look at a lot of retics when I go to NARBC. Like, I'll go try to see some, like, really flashy stuff, but then it's like, I'm looking at all the other stuff anyway, so it didn't really bother me.
For me, it's more of networking with the people that have the retics and talking
Yeah,
to them.
the only thing that bugs me is there's a couple friends that I wish were out here that aren't. That's it.
Fair.
Okay, let's do your mustache, and then we're moving on to Adler.
I thought he was at the one by my house.
Just when I was trying to watch the wind.
I was gonna sit down.
I know.
All right, Nathan. Great barber talk. We're gonna let Adler get in the chair here in just a second, and I'll be sitting over off to the side and hanging out with you guys. But do you plan on getting any other snakes?
Here,
Like-
don't believe.
Like species of snakes?
Indigos have always been on the list. I've always had a fascination with vine snakes, actually.
Did I tell you that Phil's letting me take his indigo home? He's over here laughing in the background.
Yeah, I would love to work with vine snakes at some point in my life.
Are those the ones that like squint? Like
They
ones
have
with,
the
like, that
weird eyes,
yeah.
really skinny
Yeah, those are
heads.
cool.
They're really cool, but they're hard to find captive bred, and then they're eating on lizards, so
Oh, damn,
they're
okay.
tough.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Mr. Romero, come take over the seat.
What's up, Adler?
Hi.
So, on a scale from 1 to me, how bald do you want to be?
I usually do a 0 at home.
0?
Yeah.
Because I can take you down to foils. You don't want to be that shiny?
Dude, you've never done.
I've never done that.
That would look good.
Do you want to try it?
A week it'll be back.
Yeah, let's go for
Yeah,
it.
this is 2 days grown out.
Okay, let's go for it. Jamie's gonna hate it, but let's
Oh,
go
yeah.
for it.
She won't even see it. Well, besides on maybe FaceTime. See, this is bringing me back to my roots of barbering right here.
Yeah.
Just because when
Not Sally.
no, the first haircuts I ever did was back when I was an angsty little straight edge kid. If anyone doesn't know what straight edge is, it's when you get an angry kid who listens to punk and hardcore music and they abstain from drugs, alcohol, and promiscuous sex. Real squares. But all my straight edge buddies, they knew my mom was a hairdresser and that I could go upstairs and grab her clippers, so they would come over, have me buzz their heads down, throw X's in their heads. This is like where it all started for me right here. I won't give you any straight edge designs though.
Leave a letter P on the back of his head for fiendship.
All right, so Adler,
See?
I know Lucas wants me to talk about community with you, but honestly, I'm more interested to hear just kind of your career progression over the last 6 months because, 6 months ago to now, there's been some major developments.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go back 6 months or you want to go back like my entire...
I want whatever
Not my
you
entire
want.
career, but my entire time within the
just like,
industry.
Yeah, the industry stuff.
Well, I mean, like for most people that know me, you know, I'm an artist by trade. And so when I initially got into the industry,
There's a line of fires here.
Yep.
yeah, when I initially got into the industry, I was thinking, because I wasn't going to, you know, I didn't have any animals to breed. I didn't have a way to make a name for myself through animals. And I just thought of a way, like, how can I use my skills to better the industry, better people's branding, I guess if you want to say that, or look. Um, and so I just took all my years as a creative and placed it towards reptiles. I had already just been on like my path of getting more heavily into video and photography. And, you know, for me, I don't like being in front of the camera, but I like really showcasing the beauty of the animals that we keep and work with. Yeah, that kind of got me going with, you know, what people know me for now within the industry. Last year was a little rough for me and the family. I got laid off the year before, but I really pushed to get my name out there so that I can be a videographer, cinematographer, whatever you want to call it, but for reptiles. And in the last 6 months, actually like around November, I started doing social media for Josh over at South Bay Reptiles. And then that kind of, you know, rolled into me now contracting with Shippy Reptiles and doing their social medias with him. But even further beyond that, I was watching, was it Reptiles at Home podcast with Dylan? And he had Paul Barkley from Custom Reptile Habitats on. And Paul was just mentioning that he needed to be more available on social media and have more of a presence there. And I reached out and we kind of clicked. And now, as of recent, I'm starting to do their social media as well. So yeah, most of my work now has been videography and social media management for different companies and brands within the industry.
What do you feel like you've learned kind of propelling yourself, like a do or die kind of moment like that, where, you know, it's like you could go and look for another office job, you could go look for something in the field you were already working in. Like, was there any hesitation, any fear with that?
Oh, there's always fear. I mean, I think freelance has always been where I thrived. Because if I don't find a company or some type of leadership that I don't vibe well with, I spiral quick. Yeah, I don't like authority. I mean, I respect authority, but when I see authority making dumbass decisions, I can't help but, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't hide my feelings about it.
Yeah.
So it always comes back or comes down to like conflict. And I just try to, you know, alleviate a lot of that stress or as much as possible. So I really, really search heavily for companies or people that I can work with and not so much work under, because I think it takes a collaborative role on both leadership and me as a creative to find the right message in whatever we're doing. But yeah, as far as like it being scary, yeah, no, I was scared shitless most of the time looking for the work. And
I asked because
yeah.
I know I would be.
Yeah, especially with, you know, kids and a wife and me being the sole provider. You know, it's not just myself where I can just like pack up a bag and go sleep on a friend's couch or something. You know, I got to make sure I provide for the family. Jamie wants me to grow my hair back out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, you have the hair. Why not? Why do you keep it so short? I know why I keep mine, but it's a lack of.
The convenience. Well, when we met,
Ouch.
I had long hair. When me and Phil met, I had long hair still.
Yeah, you did. I forgot about
Yeah. That was my COVID hair. I said I ain't gonna fucking cut this until COVID was over.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, no. When it was washed, it was probably halfway down my back.
I don't know that I've ever seen you with hair, so I want to see those pictures.
I gotta go through and find them.
I agree. I haven't seen.
But my hair gets curly, so when it's dry, it just fluffs up like a little mini fro. But yeah, no, it's mostly for convenience. I don't like taking too long washing or dealing with all that. I just kind of like to try to get up and go if I can.
Well, I think that's kind of funny because, you know, back when I had hair, I'd get a haircut maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks if I was really pushing it. Now that I'm bald, I'm cutting my hair once every couple days, if not every week.
Well, also I can do it myself if I just keep it short like this.
Yeah. That's convenient for sure, but
I mean, that's the reel I made where I'm like, I'll spend thousands of dollars on a reptile, but I won't spend $50 on a haircut. But going back to your question, yeah, I think my favorite part about it is, like I said, I want to show these animals off in a beautiful light, very cinematic. I know we already have a couple people that do that, like Cusco does it with his style, and I just kind of want to take it to another level to where it feels like you're watching a movie when you're watching any of the video work that I do.
okay. Well, and then I got a chance this weekend to see the print that Phil won from your Patreon.
Yeah.
And my first thought is, why aren't you doing this as a little bit of a side gig?
Eventually it's going to get there. I just need to get in the habit. You know, right now, like I said, with me being the sole provider, most of the work that I'm doing takes up so much of my time. And so I'm hoping as things progress and get better with, you know, the work that I'm already doing and time kind of clears up a bit, I do plan on doing more photography and, you know, prints or merch and stuff that people can buy, and I can have kind of a side hustle. And then we do plan, you know, when we do start to vend our animals, I mean, because even though breeding's not our focus, we will be producing babies with whatever species we're working with. We're going to have like half the table be our animals and half the table be any of my artwork or merch designs that Jamie comes up with. Because Jamie also, my wife also, you know, does t-shirts designs and everything. And so she's in this with me. So it's just kind of a creative journey together that we're both doing when it comes to our animals.
And then you want to kind of talk about your move, or is that not
It's not concrete yet.
concrete?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
so
I'm not gonna burst that bubble for you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple people that know about it, you know, that's within our close relative, like, friend circle. But I'm just waiting until I get the thumbs up to really go, like, talk about it more.
Fair enough.
Force it. Hold the blade to his throat.
No, everything's going well, though, and so it's only a matter of time. And as long as I produce the work that, you know, we're doing, you know, it should be sometime soon.
Now, is there any family hesitation about leaving California if that happens?
No, we've been wanting to leave California for a while. It's too expensive, man. Like, as much as our family might be there, or like a lot of our good friends growing up, we got to do what's best for the family. And honestly, like, I talk to you guys now more than anybody. I mean, shit, I played video games with Lucas almost every night.
If you guys would start playing League of Legends, we could play together.
Oh, I can't stand LOL. There's too much micromanaging with, like, all the buttons and shit.
You
Like,
want to know what I want to get back into?
what?
Rust.
Dude, we should do the Dune MMO when it comes out.
Okay.
Because it's basically Rust, but in the Dune universe.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Rust is the one where you're building up like forts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 15-year-old game that literally still has more players than COD does.
But yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'm nervous because all I've known is California. But I think what's helped the edge on the idea of moving out of state is you know, coming here and going to shows and coming to Arlington and hanging out with Phil and all you guys, or going to Chicago to Tinley, and it's giving me like exposure to other states outside of my own. That they've easily become like a second or third home to me, and so the idea isn't as scary anymore, you know. Still nervous, but not as bad.
Yeah.
It's like me and my pre-launch. Guess what snake I'm getting next? Definitely some Anthracia.
The children's python?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna wait for pygmies.
Okay, yeah. Who are you gonna get them from, Dan?
Yeah, I'll wait for someone like Justin Julander or oh man, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank.
I still can't wait till I can get a Patias carinata.
You know what that is, Nathan?
I feel like I've heard Dan talk about them before.
Greater keeled rat snake.
Is that an old world rat snake?
Yeah.
Old world rat snake, arguably the largest rat snake in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like 10 feet. Long, skinny, the ones that coil up and freaking make this crazy sound and hold them. And,
They kind of sound like a crocodile.
yeah.
A snake that sounds like a crocodile?
Like, you know how a baby crocodiles are like,
Oh.
so it does that, but it's lengthened out, so it's not so short. But it's like their defense sound, and when they're puffing up, and they're just like, back the hell off. I mean, like my Blue Beauty really sent me into like getting into old world rat snakes.
Yeah, because they come from like what, Taiwan, right?
They come around Vietnam and that area, and countries around it, like I think Vietnam, Cambodia, all those areas. But you get a lot out there, like, and there's some cool variations of beauty snakes.
What's cool about like Vietnam and similar to Indonesia in many places, so it should fit in my garage just fine.
Yeah, with you running ambient, they should be okay.
Yeah, 79 to 84, and then during the winter, they could definitely get down to 75.
Yeah, I mean, even like my hot spot in my baby enclosure, it only gets to 80.
Yes. How many times can we just say ambient?
Yeah, if any of you missed our drinking game from last night, it was how many times Lucas could say ambient. Or every time Lucas said ambient, take a drink.
I'm still so upset about StreamYard.
About what?
No, that our audio. So like when we shut off the camera before we went live and we turned it back on, StreamYard auto defaulted to the laptop, and we're sitting there like idiots holding the mic, like, here, use the mic to talk into it, and it didn't even matter because it was going to the laptop.
It was a good prop though, so yeah, I don't know if anyone noticed. I mean, the audio files maybe, but yeah, our mics were not picking up our audio. Everything was recorded from the laptop mic, which surprisingly wasn't terrible.
Yeah, no, it was actually...
Wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't a sure SM17, but...
But we had fun. It was a good time. It was fun.
Have you gotten some weird lineups around your ears because of that?
Yeah.
Like, has anyone ever whitewalled you?
No.
Okay, that's good. Sweet. Hopefully my dryer... Oh, my dryer wasn't in there. Sweet.
You can keep up your head.
Why?
Because it looks awesome.
Takes a little bit of getting used to for your scalp to go this short. Like, you wouldn't want to do this more than maybe like once a month while you're first getting used to it.
Yeah. So what is it doing?
The foils?
Yeah.
Picks the hair up against the grain and shaves it down. It gets you even a little bit closer than like a straight razor.
Like, is that bad for the hair follicles, or?
No. As long as you're using a clean clipper. Now, if you're getting someone else's hair and dead skin under the follicle, then yeah, it's terrible.
Did you wash it after you used it on your ball sack?
Yeah. It was actually my butthole. It's more gentle. It's
See,
more gentle than my Gillette.
Now we're talking about buttholes in this one. What's the record time, Lucas?
You just have to fade in your beard.
You got 9 minutes left.
Okay.
Cool. I'll be done in a few.
Any more ball busting questions?
Ball busting questions?
Yeah, I don't know.
Community.
Yeah, seeing as you're not just in the Retic community, what do you think of the state of the reptile community as a whole? And is there a community?
I feel like there's niches, definitely for sure.
But you don't see us as one big community?
Yeah, I think there's too much infighting to consider it a community.
It's kind of nice that we don't see cross fighting a lot.
Yeah, they could like each niche kind of makes fun of each other like briefly, but it's never like full on Morelia versus like Retics or something like that. They just kind of like poke jokes at each other. But I think it really depends on what you're looking for as far as community, because there is
What you want out of it?
what you want out of it. I mean, I've come to love a lot of the people that we all call friends and family, and you know, I have people.
Yeah, it's hard to say that the community's in a bad spot when we have this going on.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and you're Uncle Adler to Aspen.
Yeah. So I mean, like, same thing with like Jordan's son Logan. Like, he calls me Uncle Adler, and then you know, your Uncle Lucas to the girls. It's they're. I feel like there's a lot of family values. I don't know how much as far as like a community unification there is, but you do find your tight knit circles that you know become more than just friends. You know, it's lifelong bonds. I do think, and one thing that I hope, and I know, you know, since I've been working with Paul over at Custom Reptile Habitats, is we need to stop the I guess the hate on both sides between like keepers and breeders, because we all serve our purpose. I think there is something about breeders doing more for their animals, and not saying like, oh, you have to have enclosures, but always trying to find the next avenue to do better, to produce higher quality animals. And as far as the keepers, like if we don't have the keepers, then where's that money going to? We need to realize like how big, like you look at YouTube and you look at that type of media that's being put out there, a lot of that is directed towards the breeder community. Like getting into reptiles, yeah, you might, you know, talk about it keeping wise, but a lot of that is breeders to breeders, where a lot of people
some of the
watch
bigger like people, like I'm even thinking of like Snake Discovery. They're showing you how to build an incubator, and they're showing all this other stuff on top of just the normal content that they show you. So yeah, I never looked at it that way.
They do educate a lot, though.
Yeah, they do.
Likewise, which is nice, and you know, we need to, as far as the breeding community, I think we need to stop looking at just like the 100,000 people that we talk to on a day-to-day basis that we see at shows, and really think about the total 6 million people in the United States that keep, and even more worldwide. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm trying to find the right words to describe my answer on that, but I think it's important that for that unification to happen, we need to really like see what each portion of our industry kind of serves.
Tell me how unification plays a role when it comes to the keeper's views of large constrictor breeders and unrealistic.
You want to say it in the mic?
Yeah, so I guess I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, what are your thoughts about? So we as breeders and content creators can definitely like have a more inviting circle in for the keepers, but I also feel the keepers for large constrictor breeders have these expectations and this like hate for how large constrictors need to keep a large amount of animals, and the kind of negativity that goes along with that. What do you think about it? So the idea of like keepers saying every retic needs to be in a 15-foot enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
How are you supposed to, like, you know, as far as like a breeder, how is that possible with 30 retics? Even 30 when that's not even a lot.
Mm-hmm.
30's not a lot.
I mean, compared to Bob Clark, compared to Garrett.
I'm comparing to me, Lucas, not the ancients in the industry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, even Eric Lee has upwards of 100 retics.
Yeah.
But I think to even point out, like someone like Eric Lee, like he's realizing where he needs to go, and so he's downsized in certain areas where he wants to keep his breeders in a certain setup, but then he'll still have, tubs for hatchlings and holdbacks and stuff to grow out. And I think there just needs to be a balance. And this is where kind of my comment earlier was like, I think breeders need to just stop resting on their laurels and always trying to figure out how they can make things better. And I'm not saying like don't keep 30 retics and whatnot, but I feel like it's kind of like the ball python situation where everybody's chasing that next new morph. I mean, and there's value in that. Like I see it. I'm not saying that.
It seems like that's more recent though. Like when I got into retics, it didn't seem like everyone was chasing the new morph. They were just trying to get everything smaller.
Yeah. Well, now that they've gotten stuff smaller, now that they've gotten stuff smaller, now they're throwing in the morph craze that we saw with most mainlands. But I don't know if there's an easy answer for that. But as far as my perspective goes, it's just always ask yourself, am I doing right by the animal? Maybe we can't provide all 30 retics a 15-foot enclosure, but you can do 8, you can do 10, not 6, not 4.
Yeah, not that I agreed with what I asked you. It was more of a challenge question on like, are the keepers putting unnecessary?
Come over here. No one can hear you.
Oh, check the time.
Your skills. It's anything. But yeah, you're going to become irrelevant and at some point. May not be quick. You may have such a strong base that it takes a long, long time, but eventually people are going to catch on that you're staying stagnant.
Am I done?
You're done.
Dude, you look great. I've never seen you look cooler.
Sweet.
Phil.
Oh,
You're gonna be the easiest.
Give him a wrap-up question.
Okay, I gotta mic him up.
You don't have to ask me shit. I just wanted my boot cut.
He's like, I just want to
I
fall
re-
asleep.
I really just need to trim it a tiny bit. I don't want to do
Yeah,
much to it.
The line looks good. Just need
Only thing I see is I just want to blend it into your bald here a little bit. And then there's a little shelf right here that I want to take.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was seeing too. I was like,
come here.
maybe he'll do it different than I would. I just wanted to see what you would do with it.
Okay, hold your glasses for me. Okay, we're sitting now with Phil, the host of the weekend. Everyone's getting cleaned up since I'm here. He's going to be the easiest. He's just like me. Little facial hair and nice shiny bald head. We love that. But Phil, what's your favorite and least favorite part about hosting a group of guys like us every 6 months out in your house?
Favorite part is, I don't know, since I've moved here to the area, I haven't developed like a group of friends that I have guy time with. So when I only get it like every 6 months, it's really awesome.
Okay.
So I I love that happening and just getting to do our thing and uh, from home makes it even better. The fact that we built this place to have friends over and just hang out. It's fun to put that space to use. Least favorite part?
Yeah, just to put some pressure on you.
Let me think here.
Careful what you say.
Oh, I don't know. I can't even really think of a least favorite part.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, we just have such a good time. I guess the least favorite part is maybe the Monday morning after the whole kind of hangover from it all and going back to work.
Cleaning, making sure the house is in order.
Yeah, well, that's not even so bad. But, going hard, we go hard for 2 or 3 days and not a whole lot of sleep. And then going to work, dragging for a few days till you catch up is rough.
Okay.
That's about it.
As you get older, it gets harder, man.
Yeah, not making any claims that I'm a spring chicken anymore.
I mean, all the people I'm around in my day job are, 19, 20-year-old kids. So I'm not feeling like one either anymore.
Melissa and I had that conversation about how there was always that old guy we worked with that, you're uh, that you kind of either looked up to or didn't agree with, or you're like, oh, that's just old school over there. Now we are old school.
It's a new version of old school though, I feel
Yeah.
like. The tech version of old school, because we grew up with we had the internet in our lives.
Yeah, and I've always had the mindset that I may get old, but I'm not going to grow up. So
I believe that with you, especially after some of the quiet comments that were made last night. Did you ever see if any of those picked up at all?
Yes, some of them
Yes.
did.
Good.
Black. You would say black. I don't have to spit on him.
That was hilarious.
I know which one I want to be in there. Luke is trying to get his cord in.
I've always been the person that likes inappropriate humor or can find humor in any situation. And it's a lot of how I got through a lot of the trials that I've been through in life, is to just laugh at it.
Yeah.
When you have no control, the best thing to do is make fun of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's how you and I connected most, besides just snakes, was comedy after. Because during my spine infection, my bone infection in my spine, and my back surgery, like that was a year and a half where, if I could have just had a shitty attitude, or I could try to learn to laugh at shit.
Yeah.
So that's when I really clung on to comedy.
And, when for those who don't know, I have leukemia. Of course, it's under control now, but it's still there. But it's how I help my daughters deal with it. Like there would be something on TV that we all wanted to see, or we watch a movie and we would eat in the living room instead of the dining table. And when we were done eating, I would say, "Will you take my plate to the kitchen? I have leukemia." They're like, "Dad, don't say that." But you can't help but laugh at it and make fun of it, and it's one way of dealing with it.
That's awesome. Okay, keep your mouth closed for a second.
So if you're asking that,
All What's a snake on your tricep?
On my what?
Your tricep.
Yeah, it's one of mine.
Oh,
So this is my anery grill.
so that was a giant pit where like the landslip.
Yeah, I love that tattoo.
Huh?
That's why I love that tattoo. I've always.
It looks just like her, and it kind of freaks me out. It's
When
like,
you see it in the bathroom, you're like,
no, like when I first got it, like I just sat at her enclosure and I was just looking at a picture. And I was like, holy shit, that's you.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Where's the
"It's
tip
all
jar?
cleaned up."
Except me, I need to go clean myself up.
I didn't shower.
Well, thank you everyone for sitting in the shop with me today. This is a different style of the Retic Lounge, but it's something I do every time I come out to Dallas or any of the shows I go to. Maybe even one of these days do a little bit of a USARK auction off a haircut, or maybe shave someone's head on stage. I think that would always be fun. I just like sharing my passions with people, and that just happens to be hair and snakes. So thanks for hanging.